Hey everybody, Neon here doing another video. This is the last one of the week leading into, of course, the Masters Challenge that is happening tomorrow. And I decided that I would do my last video of the week with Feln control, which is one that I think is a little bit underrated going into the challenge, but it's also a deck that I think will allow me to spend a little bit of time talking about general stuff that's happening in the meta game. While we're doing this, because it's not the fastest tech in the world, as you may know. No Vara's favor feels bad, man. Start by talking about this deck though, because I think that it does warrant a little bit of explanation and stuff. Ooh, just I don't like this combo right now. I don't think that you should be playing Insignia and Crest of Chaos or you should not be playing Crest of Chaos in a Oni Ronin deck. I think I asked to just do this. Can't take that much damage from both of them. I probably should have done it last turn. Not that big of a deal, though. But anyway, yeah, so this deck is a Feln control deck. Like, it's kind of mid-rangey, all things considered. It's definitely... yeah, I don't want to deal damage to myself. I'm going to Ice Blast it. Ice Bolt it, rather. When he is attacking, or she is attacking. Yeah, well, he is attacking because it's Mr. Mar. We actually know that this is a dude. But, yeah, the deck is, this deck has some noticeable advantages and uses in the metagame of where it stacks up against everything. There's a few things that I would point out, like, particularly right now already. Like Stone Scar, which is what we're against right now. This is a more aggressive build than I think most people are playing. But this is a deck that is quite good against both the mid-range and the more aggressive builds of the deck, I think. I mean, my draw this game has been pretty mediocre, but let's do this. Probably dead, though. No, I'm not dead. I just don't think I can... I might be able to cast this later. But we're going to do this. I'm going to hope to hit an undepleted power here. Or then my opponent does not hit a charge unit, which they did. Okay. So, yeah, this does have the tools to beat this kind of matchup. I think that our draw was kind of awkward. Would have been really useful to have that strategize on turn 2 or anything on turn 2. That's one of the main weaknesses of this particular build of the deck. It leans really hard on their Merchant, particularly against the aggro decks, because it's their only 3-drop. Is the cheapest unit in the deck, and the fact that you're playing Desecrate that deals damage to yourself is problematic, but you have some really good matchups. You have a very good matchup against the control decks that are in the metagame, like the Huru control, or there's also like the TJP variants that are kind of just swirling around too, which I think are pretty similar to the Huru decks, all things considered, just some minor tweaks. Oh, they did not play a Initiative Sands. That makes me sad. And that means that... Oh, Glasshopper. Okay. And like this is another matchup that I think is pretty fine, because just having Vara is a really good card right now. I mean, I think that's one of the main reasons that Stone Scar is so good. Yes. I'm sort of suddenly interested in playing an Ice Bolt Sickles deck so that I can Ice Bolt my own Sickles. That's probably too cute. I'm actually going to play out the Primal Sigil anyway. Very impressive, I know. I do my best. Ooh. This is pretty solid, because they have the choice of either giving me a 5/6 over deadly, which is very difficult for them to fight through, or they have to sacrifice their Glasshopper, which case they don't have the acceleration. Oh, they're just going to double torch it. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I would rather that they didn't, but it's okay. So they probably just like have Hearts of the Vault and other like similar bullshit in hand? Well, you have to have some burn spells, I guess. Like Shugo tactics, is that's another possibility. Okay. If it's Shugo tactics exactly, the Glasshopper would trade with the. Oh hey, hello Rost. Oh, I can't actually cast that. That's annoying. This is one of the downsides of the deck. Is the fact that you have to play both Vara and Rost in the same deck is kind of annoying. Now that they sacrifice it, yeah, that's what I thought. Going to try and bait them. Yep. Got you. But yeah, there's a lot of reasons why this deck is really good against Huru control. That's actually, I think, the biggest attraction to this deck right now. Huru control is a deck that struggles with large Aegis units, such as this gentleman right here. Struggles against recursive threats, such as this gentleman right here. Does not like playing against Aegis poppers, like this one right here. And also mid-rangey decks that have a lot of card advantage, which, I mean, we got a lot of card advantage too. So I think that if you are really interested in just shitting on Huru control, a Feln control is one of the best options. And definitely if you play against the more mid-rangey versions of Stone Scar, you are a pretty big favorite there, especially on the play. I think that one of the things that's a little bit underrated about Stone Scar is just how big their play advantage is against basically any matchup. I think that they have a very... If I knew that I was always on the play, I think that I would just snap off Stone Scar at mid-range, without a doubt. It is a very strong deck when it's on the play. This is a good hand because it has a Smuggler in it. Like, I kind of joke, but I'm not really joking. Banner. That suggests aggression. So that means that card is good. The reason why I'm joking about this is that this is such an absolute beating against aggressive decks. Sure, I think I've already won though. to be frank, now I'm going to lose obviously after calling that. But the reason why is that Blight Path Smuggler, the 1/4 body, is a pain in the ass to chew through for any aggressive deck. And you also have you can get something like Hailstorm. Like, now my opponent is in a legitimately very difficult position. They have to either kill this or like stun it or something like that. They have to deal with this. And then at the same time, they play into Hailstorm. And I'm left over with the 1/4 afterwards, still. I'm going to play out Vara first for the purposes of popping this. I'm also not that worried about dying here. Okay. This is pretty decent for me. I'm just going to minimize damage. And hope that they play out something else that's lame. I'm actually going to do this. Like, I kind of just... Maybe I'm just not taking seriously the possibility that my opponent has cards in their hands that do things, but I just don't think they have cards in their hands that do anything. It feels like they're kind of just, like, really dead. Okay, sure. That puts it over the edge. I will definitely. So, start here. Sure. That's a fairly conservative keep. That was the exact card I was about to say that I'm worried about. It's the only one, really. Yeah, let's do this. I just want to gain a life. There we are. Okay, so I think that we're in the clear now. It's possible for our opponents to win still. Definitely having that friend off the top here was a bit of a pain in the ass. This is okay. The fact that I think that they're playing the build without any market, which is pretty good for me, means that they're gonna have a hard time. I'm going to do this. Vara here does get me a Black Sky Harbinger, which is a source of life gain, which is basically all I want right now. Okay, please don't have another 2 damage. See, we did it. Easy peasy. Yeah, now we're probably fine. Okay, that was actually much closer than I thought it was. They did just, like, hit that 4 power and just stick there, which is exactly what I do not want. Yes. That's fine. Oh, right. This gives me not face Aegis, which is problematic. So that's why I have to go for the Royal Decree in case they have Flame Blast in hand, which is a very, very real possibility. Oh, they do have the Ixen Merchant. Okay. Well, definitely going to get rid of that. They could have hit the Flame Blast right here. Okay, okay. It's good for me. They have a Snow Fort. We did it! Surprisingly close. Surprisingly close. I mean, this is also something that goes to the strength of the Skycrag deck. I think that that deck is very strong. They're going for a build that is closer to the one that I saw Lights Out Ace playing earlier, and I think that it's very, very solid. All things considered, though, this is a favorable matchup for Feln. But yeah, so Feln has good matchups against Skycrag, good matchups, especially if it's on the play. Good matchups against Stone Scar, especially if it's on the play. The Huru matchup is quite solid. This hand is good against aggressive decks well enough, but not particularly good against defensive decks, but it has a lot of power, so it's kind of fine. Like, this can still definitely lose to the controlling decks, though. I don't think that it's a trivial matchup. You do have to... You're relying on certain particular cards, like so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sources of primal, which is important for our Rosti boy. Right on time was Wisdom of the Elders. Actually on time too. Usually when I see that, it's sarcastic. My opponent is doing anything. I love it when my opponents don't do things. I am actually going to do this for the purposes of sort of wasting my opponent's power. Okay, they do have a power now. It's not that important to have the bonus just on him, like, initially. Like, he'll get the bonus sooner or later. My opponent's probably going to have to spend some resources to kill him, like, very soon, because he gets out of control real fast. Like, it's true that the not having the... Yeah, okay. I'm probably going to discard a power. Definitely going to discard a power. I'm also definitely not playing into Harsh Rule. But yeah, one of the key cards in this matchup is actually Royal Decree. That's fine. This is going to kill, like, just kind of kill some time, unfortunately. Because I want to be able to Royal Decree the... Sanctums. All of these cards are pretty good. Let's just go Royal Decree. I do want to have it that I attack though first. That's pretty important. Because I want to like no matter what it is, I want like that I hit. Like optimally, it'll be a Sanctum because that'll just kill most of their win conditions. Also, I'd be really happy to hit a Palace too. But like either way, it is like I could also hit a Harsh Rule. That would be sick. So there's a lot of really good targets. So it's a big reason why. Please don't Royal Decree me. I would really appreciate that. Start turn. Yeah, that's not a shock. Block with both. Okay, just doing that? Okay, sure. Royal Decree. All of these choices are sick. Oh, the section of Hailstorm, I don't give a shit about that. Harsh Roll. Yeah, this is also a matchup that really rewards being patient, too. One of the other things I would like to note is that I think that the deck could use a reread in the market quite badly. Because, for instance, being able to reread the Royal Decree, and there's like a lot of other cards too that you can reread that are just very, very powerful. Yeah, draw 2, sure. So 8 damage, 9, 10, 11 damage. Yeah, we're just gonna go ham. So my opponent's probably going to take a few moments. There's other things that are going on in the metagame, of course, too. I just want to actually, I'm just looking at this because I wrote it on my phone while this was before. So some of the other ones I want to mention. So Huru Mid is a deck that, like, I played a bunch of decks the last couple of weeks that were in preparation for the Masters Challenge that's happening. And I mean, I think that it's pretty obvious. It's part of the reason that it's been kind of very normal, very conservative decks for the past little while is that I've been focusing on testing for that. It is, like, both for me and then for anybody of you who's looking and playing in the Masters Challenge. And so there's a bunch of decks that I've tried that I think have turned out well. Huru Midrange, Huru Control. I'm pretty certain that I like the Svetia's Sanctum versions better than I like the Rost versions, to be honest. I know that's kind of like a mixed thing. People have different opinions on that. But that's my take on it for the time being. I'm not I don't think that there's a way for me to find lethal here. No, there wouldn't be lethal, of course. But yeah, I'm just trying to, like, deplete my opponent of resources and he continually play to the board. Oh, double hailstorm. Brutal. Okay, so yeah, they did have a sweeping choice there. Still, they have to fight through more. Like, the game is not done. They have to win the game. Winning the game is actually going to be kind of difficult, given how much resources they've spent into just not dying. Sure. I'm also less afraid of using ice bolts now because my opponent has spent so many, has actually gotten their power online. Yeah, man. Could really use some card draw. Not seeing a whole lot of that. Sure. That's interesting. I did not realize that's how that worked. It's the last sigil in my deck. That's incredible. Gained an extra life. How about that? Look at their void, man. Just golems for days. All I want is card draw. Now. Or merchants. Merchants would be sick. Rost would be sick too. Not seeing any Rosts is really rough. That's one of the attractions of playing this deck, is being able to play Rost against something like this. Because like, had I had a Rost in the mid game, I think that I would be wrecking face right now. Yup. I'm going to Ice Bolt whatever they withstand. Which is probably what they're going to do, yeah. Yeah, now I'm in a lot of trouble. Right on time. One of the things that I actually have as a critique of this deck, because there's definitely some critiques of this deck in my mind. One of them is the Black Sky Harbinger. The card just does not feel great to me anymore. It just feels too low impact. Pretty sure this is yeah, sure. I'm not sure if I'm dead here. I could easily be. Doesn't look to be. But I will be next turn. I will indeed. Yeah, so the part of the reason why I do like the Sanctum builds is that they're just so powerful as a win condition. You can be my Huckleberry. So, yeah, I mean, maybe this deck just... I definitely think that this deck needs rereads. Because if I had been able to reread either the Royal Decree or the like an Honor of Claws or something like this, it would have been really powerful and a lot for like a large percentage of that game. I don't know if you think you want the main deck. I mean, the main thing that you want them is in the market. The issue is like usually like the stuff that you want to Royal Decree the most comes from the market. I think I'm supposed to keep this. It has 3 power and a merchant. It's a little bit sloppy, but it'll do. I'm probably going to be sending Ross back in unless I'm against exactly Huru control. Or I draw, like, power. Oh, hey, it's Huru. What a shock. Well, power number 1. It could be Huru mid-range. That's a good card. It is Huru mid-range. In that case, I am definitely hitting Palace. So that's 5 cards in their hand. They have a lot of cards in their hand, though. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they have 3 power in hand. Okay. I'm a little bit concerned about Saditi, but not, like, super concerned. I just like to spend a few moments on this to make sure that I understand what's in their hand. It'll be very hard for them to cast Saditi now. They've... Yeah, it's just good Nublin. Worried I'm not going to be able to cast Frost for a while, because that's my luck. So this is a very... I guess this could be a controlling deck. Okay, so they are almost at CDT power, which is unfortunate. Or influence, rather. Probably shouldn't have just done this, because now they can go Oracle and Hammer. That was definitely a mistake. What am I doing? Like, now they can Oracle and Hammer me and set up for CDT next turn. Please don't. Okay, well, I didn't get hit by the Rune Hammer, and I have some protection. Not having Rost influence sucks. I'm doing some damage, too, which I like. If they, obviously, if they display CDT, I'm going to smack it and then favor it. And then I just need influence for the Rost. This is part of the reason why I don't... These decks that are playing the 5 influence 5 drops, like, they... You really feel that influence, guys. You really, really do. It is not easy to hit that 5. And I think that you saw that in both sides of this game, honestly. It is a real cost. Anyway, I want to talk about some of the other decks that are happening. I've been continually being distracted, but yeah, so... Huru mid, Huru control, and Stone Scar are definitely, I think, the best decks in the metagame right now. And I just don't think that it's close. I think that it's pretty obvious that those are the best things that are going on right now. I'm going to keep this in hand, obviously, in case I get a Merchant. Or some other reason to discard, like Honor of Claws. Huru control, just very, very powerful deck. Has a lot of different possibilities. For that deck, you definitely want to make sure that you're building it correctly, like whether you want CDT or Rost or Sanctum as your win conditions. Come on, deck. Well, one thing I can definitely say about this deck is that this particular build was actually built by the Burgund. It was in the oh, fucking finally. I saw an original Warcry thing. He got something like top 25 masters with it, but you can find the link to that down in the description. This is pretty obvious to DT here. Oh, okay. Hailstorm then plus DT? Okay. I knew that they had Hailstorm. It's annoying, but I think they're going to be able to draw a couple cards off of this, but that is not the end of the world. Especially since they're going to have 3 Rosts in play, and it's very difficult for them to pile through all of them. They don't, and the fact that they also don't have Palace too is a pretty big win. I probably should have just killed that so they didn't have the attack for another CDT. Okay, harsh roll me. I'm interested in whether the Cobalt Waystone blocks the Act of the Curse, because that's how it works with Zindel's Gift. Other decks, though, that I did want to mention that are like interesting in the metagame now, we have Defiance. Yeah, sure. They're just trying to increase the chances of drawing cards. This is why I'm playing this out. They're going to get smacked for 14 next turn, though, unless they have... That's really good against Rost. Oh my god, they're a genius. That's actually a decent solution to Rost in the deck. Like, I don't usually like Avograft, but I actually think that it's quite good in that situation. Okay, what are we doing here? Now that these are in the void, I can't get them out again. So I like doing something like burglarizing just doesn't do very much. So it's got to be Varo. I guess I could have done it for the Curse of Provocation. Now that I think of it. That's probably correct. The thing is, it just takes so much fucking power to do it, because the curse itself costs 5. No, that solves that problem. It takes so fucking long to set up. Oh my god. But yeah, I have to be able to get rid of this because I just can't beat it when it's in play. Okay, 12 next turn from it, then I can kill it. Please don't play another unit. Stop! Yeah, so I'm kind of noticing that this deck, while it is supposed to absolutely crush the Huru control matchup, is a little bit less potent than I had thought. It has some problems. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Going for lethal. I respect that. Ugh. You know, this is the line that involves me living, most likely. At least for a couple of turns. Now, I mean, like, obviously I could Wisdom of the Elders into some bullshit, but, I mean, I'm probably dead here one way or another. So then they have any source of damage. That counts. So maybe I was overrating this deck. This deck is... Ross is just not good enough on my mind. The more that I play with it, the more I'm like, yeah, it does have some good moments, but it's just not... It's not really an all-star. Like, there are moments where it can be insane. But it just... Like, okay, yeah, we did 5 games there. And go 1, 2, 2, 3. So this is a deck... Given the fact that Ross is just, in my mind, just not good enough. There's too many solutions. There's too many ways to play around it. And it's too slow. The influence is too hard. It just is, like, I am not liking this deck. Maybe it was something that was particularly good when people weren't exactly as prepared for it. So I think that I think that the Avograft, though, it's not a card that I usually am that excited about, but I think it's actually good here in the metagame now, because people are playing these large threats and they're playing them in large amounts. I also think there's some possibilities of how this deck could be adjusted to make it a lot better. You definitely, though, like, Huru Control seems to be the #1 deck in the metagame right now, so I would be focusing on trying to build a deck that actually crushes that matchup. And as of right now, this deck does not feel like it's it. So, I mean, like, other decks that are in the metagame, I wanted to talk about this, but the game ended up being hard. Harder than I expected. But I can touch on some of them. So, like, Huru Control, obviously very good, very popular. I would expect this to be the #1 deck to see this weekend. The deck to beat. Huru Midrange and Huru Stone Scar. I mean, obviously, between like Huru like fire slash aggro to Huru control. Like there's a whole anything in there is quite strong, because I mean anything that plays Palace is quite strong. So you really want to find something that either within that range that suits your play style, or find something that counters that in the decks that you can build. Then Stone Scar is obviously also really good when it's on the play, especially trying to tech to beat those matchups. I think that things like Highwayman are really good right now, better than Maiden is for sure. Maiden being a better card when Praxis is a big deal, and that's just not the case right now. Praxis is still playable though. That's one of the decks I would be considering for this weekend if it was something that I had a lot of experience playing, but I honestly don't in the past little while, and I just hate the gameplay style personally. Like every time I'm thinking, like, yeah, maybe I could play Praxis today, and then I think again, I'm like, yeah, maybe I won't. Other things like, I mean, Genev is solid, Xenon is solid. These are like okay decks. I don't think that they stand out to me as being worth playing over anything else that's available, but you know, it's fine. Cumbre I played that yesterday, and I thought it was mediocre. Cumbre Ramp, also I played that last week. It felt like mediocre. That deck, if you can, I don't think there's any way to build that deck that it's not either dead to Huru control, Stone Scar aggro, or both. Like I feel like you're gonna lose to very often one of those two decks is a horrible matchup, and both of them could very easily be a horrible matchup, and that's just not where I want to be. What do I think would be the best against the Huru control decks? Like part of the issue is that there's three builds in terms of win conditions, and like I think that it's probably Huru mid-range. It feels the best way to handle it. You definitely want to have Omen of Austerity to handle if you have Omen of Austerity, Avagraft in your void in your market, then you deal with both the Rosts and the that I guess, yeah, actually I'm increasingly convinced that the best way to probably handle things is actually just go Huru control and make sure that you have Avagraft in your market, because the card is very strong against Ross, and Ross is one of the things that you're the most worried as for the Huru control decks. And I think that the Huru control decks have also moved away from Rost a lot, so I think that that's kind of where I would want to be. I would go for the Sanctum builds personally. That's kind of where I'm suspecting. There's other decks too that are playable. Winchest, like Recon mid-range, like these are all like fine. Auric Reanimator and Storm could also just pop off this weekend too. I'm not sure about the Storm builds. I hope to get back to playing a little bit more janky decks, like fun decks next week. I'm really disappointed by Feln control, honestly. The kind of problems that we saw in all these of like having enough early units in game 1 and getting outpowered in game 3 and 4 and 5 were frustrating, and kind of it's important to see that though, because I think that it shows that this deck has weaknesses that people have engineered to kind of overcome. So yeah, weirdly excited about this Avagraft tech though. Anyway, a hard metagame to solve. Very interested to see what comes up this weekend. Good luck in all of those of you who are participating. I will be playing as well, seeing what ends up happening. But that'll do it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care, everybody.